All right, let's talk about that feeling of being completely overwhelmed. You know, when your brain just wants to shut down? Well, today, we're going to dive into some really powerful mental frameworks you can use to get back in control when everything feels like it's on fire.
We've all been there, right? It feels like you're drowning in decisions. Your mind is just jumping between a dozen different problems, but you're not solving a single one. It's kind of like being a ping pong ball in a tornado. Every choice feels wrong, and that to-do list just gets longer and longer.
So where do you even start?
You know, that is the million-dollar question. And the first thing to get is that overwhelm, it's not a personal failure. It's actually a totally natural brain response. See, when we're hit with too much information or we have to make too many decisions, our brains can flip into this primitive threat detection mode. And when that happens, the part of our brain that's good at creative problem solving just goes offline. But the good news is, a few simple frameworks can bring your higher thinking right back online.
So, let's start with what I call your mental first aid kit. These are the tools you pull out for immediate relief, for those moments when your brain just feels completely fried. First up is the triage framework. We borrowed this straight from the emergency room. It's simple. You list everything, that's stressing you out. Then you categorize it. Is it critical, as in it'll cause real damage if you don't handle it today? Or is it just urgent, stable, or something that can wait? And here's the crucial part. You act only on the critical items. You'll probably find there are only one or two things that actually fit that description.
But what if everything feels urgent? That's a great point, because our brains are wired to see everything as an immediate threat. And that's exactly where the 10-10-10 rule comes in. For any decision that has you totally paralyzed, just ask yourself, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes? Okay, how about in 10 months? And in 10 years? This little shift in perspective is so powerful. It just shrinks most of our daily stresses down to their actual size.
And to really hammer that point home, let's look at the circle of control. This model helps you sort your worries into different buckets. Look, your actions, your responses, that's in your full control. You might be able to influence others, but you have absolutely zero control over the past or the global economy. The key here is to pour, say, 90% of your energy into that inner circle. Just realizing how much you don't have to worry about is incredibly free.
So, once you've calmed that immediate storm, the next step is to cut right through the paralysis. Let's look at a couple of ways to make much clearer choices.
There's this core concept from economics that is so useful in everyday life. It's called opportunity cost. And all it means is that every single time you say yes to one thing,
You are automatically saying no to something else. Choosing to work late tonight? Well, that might mean saying no to dinner with your family. Choosing to scroll social media for an hour means you're saying no to getting some actual rest. When you start to make these trade-offs explicit, it brings this powerful clarity, and it really forces you to see what you're prioritizing.
and what about those huge life decisions?
For those big, life-altering crossroads, there's the regret minimization framework. You literally project yourself forward to age 80, and you ask this one powerful question: which choice will I regret not trying? This completely reframes the decision. It's not about what's safest anymore. It's about what your future self will wish you had the guts to do. And you know what? It almost always points you down a path of action, not inaction.
Okay, so we've covered tools for relief and for making decisions. Now, let's talk about how to turn all that thinking into actual doing, especially when a goal just feels way too big to even start. This is called the next action method. The whole idea is to stop focusing on these vague, abstract goals like get healthy. Instead, you identify the very next, tiny, physical action you can take. So, get healthy becomes put my workout clothes by the bed. Plan a vacation becomes Google flights to Portland. See how that works? It makes these huge, overwhelming goals feel instantly manageable.
Another super powerful tool is energy task matching. Look, we all have these natural peaks and valleys in our energy during the day. So instead of fighting it, why not work with it? Use your high energy time for the tough, creative stuff, and then save the low energy tasks, like just answering emails, for when you're feeling a little drained. I promise you'll get so much more done.
So, knowing these models is one thing, but the real magic happens when you actually make them a habit. Let's talk about building your own personal toolkit and how to do it without getting overwhelmed by the tools themselves.
The key is to start small. Please, don't try to use all of these at once. Just pick 3 to begin with. 1 for immediate relief, 1 for making decisions, and 1 for handling stress. And here's a little pro tip. Practice them when you're calm. That way, these tools will be second nature when you're actually under pressure.
And creating a simple reference card just like this one can be a total game changer. When you're stressed out, your brain is not great at remembering new things. So having a physical note or one on your phone that just prompts you with the right question, it can instantly pull you out of that downward spiral. Remember, a small toolkit you know really well is always better than 100 tools you can't remember how to use.
So I'll leave you with this challenge. If you're feeling even a little bit overwhelmed right now, take a minute after this and just try the triage framework. List out everything that's on your mind and just see if you can find that one critical thing to focus on. It really is a powerful first step toward getting some clarity.
Hey, if you found this helpful, we'd really appreciate you sharing it with someone else who might need it. And please, make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to our channel for more explainers designed to help you think clearer and work smarter. Thanks so much for joining us.